Hey, Marissa, Dennis. Hey, so here's a couple of things that you want to see. I'm going to kind of do them backwards from your email, but I'm sure you'll be fine with that. So under receivable reports, I have what everybody considers to be the standard aging. So let me just pull one up real quick. I'm going to do this one, landscape for jobs. I'm going to do all jobs, and so I'm just going to kind of preview this on the screen. So hang on a second. I'll open this up so you can see it. So there's my jobs that are listed. There's the retention. Shows it a separate column. Obviously, this is my demo data, so I don't ever receive money in. So everything's kind of aged out pretty far. But there's my aging. Don't forget, if I need to see the detail on anything, I can double click this, and it'll take me back to all of the invoices that make up that amount of money. Okay. So I always have the ability to do that. So I'm going to close this real quick. And if I want to look at more of a detail, again, in Sage 100, you're always going to find lots of ways. So I can sort this by job, by client, and then job, or job alphabetically, or by client alphabetically, so or by record number. I'm just going to sort by job just to make it simple here. So I'm just going to do this real quick. And again, so there's job number 2 now, but with the detail. And again, if I need to drive back to this invoice, I can actually just double click that and get back to the invoice. Again, the retention stays in the retention column until it's released, and I gave you all the details on how to do that. There's a lot more steps. It's not as hard as it looks in those steps, but it's pretty simple to release the retention. Once that retention is released, it would then be placed into the current column and then aged as it would be an invoice. So if you release the retention today and it's not paid for 30 or 40 days, it would be sitting over here in the 31 to 60, but it stays in the retention column until you actually go through the steps to release it, which I detailed in the email. So that's AP aging. So as I showed you all those, nobody uses those. They almost always use this, and it's called a receivable call sheet. And you'll see, again, we've got a whole lot of ways to look at this. So I'm just going to go in here with the invoice detail and the client notes. I'm just going to preview this on the screen. And so in here, I have the same information. So here's that Jessica job number 2 we just looked at a second ago. Here's all the invoices that are open, the amounts that are open, the aging of that. Okay. In addition, I know who I'm supposed to talk to. I have their phone number and an alternate phone number to call. And if I go back to the client record or to the invoice record and enter in the notes for my collection calls, they will show up here on this report. So when I'm making collection calls, this is the report I'm going to use because it has all my notes. And then I always have the detail that I need. If it's just to give to the bank or to somebody to see an agent, or an owner just wants to see an aging, I'd run the other one. But for people that are making collection calls, this is the report that they use. The reason is, here's Jessica. I have all of her contact information here. I have all of my previous notes here. And then I have 4 or 5 jobs with her. All of those jobs are listed, and then a total for the client for all of the jobs. And so that is another report that a lot of our clients use. So again, a lot of different ways to run this. I prefer to run the age call sheet. If I just want a call sheet without the agent, I can run this, this right here. I'm just showing you a whole lot of different ones, but come up in a second. No aging, same thing, same level of detail that you had before. So there you go. And so now that's the aging and the call sheet. If I go into progress bill here, and I think, again, I talked to so many people. I think you told me most of your work is done through progress billings. I may be confused, but very simply, here is where I would enter progress billing information. So here's the items, if there's retention, what the retention is, etc. So if I go in here and I have a sample of one, I'll show you this one. This is if you do a progress billing. And so for one job, there's your total. This is the retention on this right here. So here's the total less the earned retention, previous certificates that we put in, current payment due, and balance to finish, including retention, is this. So that's kind of the progress billing. So if you had sales tax, we could get that to show, but this job was not taxable. So there it is. There's what I'm billing. There's what retention is being withheld to come up with the amount of the actual billing. Okay. So I'm going to take out of here. And then if I was just billing a regular invoice, I just would come into receivable, receivable invoices. So give me 1 second and make sure I find the right one. No retention on that one. Retention on this one, and there's sales tax on this one. So here's where it was an invoice for boring. There was retention. It was taxable. And so if I go in here and preview this, and retention. So, who's to, what project is for, obviously, what I'm billing for, and then down at the bottom, the sales tax, the invoice total, the retention, and then the net amount of the invoice. Hopefully that makes sense. But that's how we show it. Again, these forms can be customized, so if you want to show it a little differently, we can. So you just let Gary know at the time you guys go live. We can change this, but this is the standard format. Shows the sales tax, shows the retention, and the amount due. So whether I show it here or on the progress billing, they both will show the information that you need. So those are the things that you wanted to see. If something else pops up, let me know. And then just as you know, Gary will be there on Friday. So if you need to see something a little bit more detail or need to ask a question about this, he would be a perfect person to ask about it. And so need something else, please give me a call. But I did put all the details on how to release the retention and build the retention. It would probably be confusing if I showed you because I don't do it very often. The steps are there. If something doesn't make sense, then I would just kind of approach Gary on that on Friday. Hey, have a great week, and I also would be sending your proposals this morning. Thanks.